Here we are. The recording has started. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I have 2 children with me in an apartment, so potentially there will be some disruptions.
No problem. No problem. I think everybody got used to working from home during the pandemic, and we can all understand and relate.
I'm preparing for an hour, and now she's coming to ask for a glass of water. So that's so typical. Okay, I will try to share my presentation. Let me just see which one I want to use. Okay, not this one, this one. This one. Can you see my screen?
We can see the slides. That's right.
Great. So I will start. Thank you very much for joining for this session. I'm also excited that things are coming back to normal, I would like to think and say. So today, I believe that a lot of you had this type of training, but today we are going to remind ourselves about safeguarding, what does it represent, and of course, how to use it now in these specific circumstances, because we are restarting online teaching platform in context of current war in Ukraine. So if you have any questions, I will leave sometimes after the presentation so you can ask all questions and or you can write me on my email and then I will answer you later. So what the safeguarding is, we will be asking ourselves today, who is responsible for safeguarding in British Council? What is abuse, what definition of abuse we have, what are the risks, and of course, how to report safeguarding concerns. So when it comes to safeguarding, safeguarding present broad framework and expectations related to protection of children and adults. So the point of the safeguarding is to create safe environment in which no child or adult, depending with whom we are working, will experience harm or exploitation during their contact with us. So it is really crucial to underline that the British Council have zero tolerance to any type of abuse. So we need to make sure that that environment is physical or digital. We need to make sure that that environment is safe for all participants. Safeguarding is 24/7 policy, which means I cannot be a nice guy until 5 o'clock and then bad guy after working hours. So if we are going to work with British Council and if we say, okay, we will adhere to your policy, then we need to follow the safeguarding principles in our private life as well. But I believe that we are already all doing that. Safeguarding policies covering two, let's say, categories of beneficiaries or customers or students, the children, and by definition, anyone who has not reached their 18th birthday is considered a child. This can be different in different countries, especially in legislation, and again, especially in a criminal code, because in some countries, the child is defined until 16 years old, and after 16 years old, the child can be prosecuted as an adult. But of course, British Council is following and adhering to Child Rights Convention. And we are also, this policy is also covering adults. Now, as you can see above the picture, it is still standing adults at risk. For you who participated in this type of training, you might remember that last time I said that this policy is covering adult at risks, but that is changed now, because with this policy, we are going to cover all adults we are working with. Why? Because we learned in a hard way that if I'm not vulnerable today, doesn't mean that I'm not going to be vulnerable tomorrow. And the best examples are these big Hollywood stars who are now reporting that they are being abused, victims of abuse and sexual harassment during their life and career. And we would never say that they are vulnerable because they are rich and well situated, living in great cities and countries and environment, but apparently they are vulnerable. So we don't want to trap ourselves in a way to think, okay, we are not working with vulnerable adults. These are just regular people who want to join our sessions. But and then we will not set up preventive measures. We will not set up safeguarding framework because they are not vulnerable. But that doesn't mean that they cannot become vulnerable during the course of our activities. So if we are working with children or adults, we need to have safeguarding measures in place. The important thing about safeguarding is say that with safeguarding, we are trying to control the things that are within our control, within our hands to control. So of course there are no free risk environment, there are no free risk activities. Some things always can happen, but safeguarding is teaching us to assess risks, to be aware of them, and to create mitigation measures or to create plan what to do if the risks happened. The scope of safeguarding policy tells us that all staff globally are expected to comply with the policy. So it doesn't matter, are you employed by British Council or have temporary contract, or you are volunteering for British Council, or you are participating in British Council activities. These are the policies and rules that we are trying to follow and make sure that that everything what we do and all activities are safe for us and safe for people British Council is working with. So working definition of abuse, just a few slides about that. Abuse is a violation of an individual human and civil rights by other person or persons. This is more scholar definition. I like the second one most. Abuse consists of anything which individuals, institutions, or processes. So individuals, me. Institutions, organization I'm working for, or processes, activities we are implementing, do or fail to do. So we need to make sure, sorry. Dina, molim te srećo. Sestra sjedi kraj mene. Dođi vamo po nju. Idi kod sestre. Sorry. So do. So that means that if we are organizing some activity, we need to make sure not to harm anybody with that activity. It doesn't matter. The harm can come from unsafe space. It can come from uneducated teachers or uneducated, unprepared project staff. It can come because we didn't set up measures. So the things we do or we fail to do. So for example, we didn't assess any risks. We just decided to do activity. And then of course, something bad can happen. So the fact that we didn't assess risks doesn't take us away from the responsibility for something bad is happening. So that's why it's really important to make sure that all individuals, institutions, and processes we use to implement activities are aware of safeguarding policies, our principles, and protective measures. Abuse categories. So we have these generic one. We have physical abuse, emotional abuse, neglect, sexual abuse, exploitation, and online abuse. Now, online abuse is more and more is mentioned as a specific category. Although part of this online abuse, you could have all these other types of abuse, or from online abuse can move to physical world. But it is more and more mentioned as a separate category, and it is most relevant for us, for online teaching platform, because all activities are happening in digital environment. So online abuse is any type of abuse that happens on the internet, facilitated through technology like computer, tablets, mobile phones, and other internet-enabled devices. And types of abuse, and we will talk more about that on next slides, is cyberbullying, emotional abuse, grooming, sexting, sexual abuse, and sexual exploitation. So most commonly recognized top types of abuse, as I said, physical abuse, domestic violence, sexual abuse, psychological abuse, modern slavery, discrimination, institutional abuse. So these are the types of abuse that might happen. When it comes to online abuse, as we said, is any type of abuse that happens on the internet. It can happen anywhere. Social networks platform, text messages and messaging apps, email and private messaging, online chat sites, leaving comments on live streaming sites, voice chat in games. So it can happen anywhere. And types of online abuse are cyberbullying, or online bullying is any type of bullying that happens online. Unlike bullying that take place offline, online bullying can follow the victim wherever they go. It can move across digital platform, and also it can move to physical world. Emotional abuse is any type of abuse that involves the continual emotional mistreatment of a person, and this can happen both also on online or offline. Grooming is when someone builds a relationship with the person, I'm talking about digital environment, so they can sexually abuse them, exploit or traffic them. Children and young people can be groomed online or face-to-face by a stranger or by someone they know. You probably heard about these cases. Somebody create fake profile, contact you, and then slowly communicate with you things that are not harmful, just to build the trust. And then once the trust is established, then they decide to use that. Sexting is when someone share sexual, naked or semi-naked images or videos of themselves or others, or send sexual messages. Sexual abuse, when a person is forced or tricked into sexual activities, it can also happen online and offline. And sexual exploitation is a type of sexual abuse. When a person is sexually exploited online, they may be persuaded or forced to create sexual explicit photos or videos, or have sexual conversation. I mean, this might seem impossible to be happening to us, but believe me, all international organizations who are developing these policies didn't develop because they thought it would be a great idea to have these kind of documents. They developed those documents because they had safeguarding incidents. They had a situation in their work, and then they decided they need to protect themselves and people they are working with, and then they decided to create these documents. Of course, next to the safeguarding policy, we also have safeguarding code of conduct. That document kind of is suggesting us what is the acceptable and what is unacceptable behavior. And then we say we must always treat all people fairly with respect, dignity, and non-discrimination. When working in international context, meaning when we have people participating from another country, we need to be respectful of local cultural norm, customs. We always must seek to ensure that our conduct, our work, even outside of work, does not impact on or undermine our ability to undertake the role for which we are engaged. I will not read all of this. I will share presentations. So you have a safeguarding code of conduct available online teaching platform. But the point is, we need to make sure not to do anything that might be harmful for another people. And there is a tricky part on it. It is not what we think it's harmful to other people, but what those other people see as a harmful behavior. So if I say, nah, it's not a chance that this will be the things that I'm going to say now will be hurtful to another people. that's not the guidance for us. The guidelines are what other people will perceive as a harmful behavior. We should never, of course, become intoxicated by alcohol during activities. Use British Council teaching platform to view, download, create, share, or save in any format inappropriate or abusive material, included but not limited to indecent images of children or adults. Take photos of children or adults participating in British Council activity without obtaining their consent. Written parental consent or consents from a child's legal guardian is always required to take and use photographs and audio or video materials of children. We had a question first time when we did training for online teaching platform. The teachers were asking, can we do a screenshot so we can share it on LinkedIn profile, on Facebook page? Yes, if everybody say okay. And this is kind of a rule that I see now that people are doing when we are all on call with our cameras on, and I say, okay, can I take a screenshot to share it on my social media? And if somebody don't want to do it, please turn off your camera. The people who want to do it, leave your camera on. And that would be sufficient to take a screenshot and share it. So just keep that in mind. We should never behave in a way meant to shame, humiliate, belittle, or degrade children or adults. We should never show different treatment or favorism, particularly children and adults, to the exclusion of others, use language or make suggestions which are inappropriate, offensive, or abusive. So please, while I'm talking, think about a potential situation that might happen, and then we can talk about it on the end. It is not only when we are talking about safeguarding, as I said, it's not only about protection of people we are working with, but it is also protection of our employees and partners we are working with and implementing activities. So we want to make sure, for example, when we are talking about online teaching platform, we want to make sure that all British Council staff is protected, all teachers are protected, all facilitators are protected while participating in online teaching platform. The most common safeguarding breaches in online environment is hate speech. So threats to an individual or group, online abuse and cyberbullying, words, images, and videos that call for or glorify violence against the group, encouraging others to commit hate crimes, grossly offensive posts or comments, trolling, meaning posting offensive, upsetting, or inflammatory comments online in an attempt to hurt and provoke a response. And of course, we have examples of hate crime, trying to damage your reputation by making false comments, accusing you of things you haven't done, tricking other people and threatening you, stealing your identity, setting up profiles in your name, electronic sabotage, doxing, etc., etc., etc. One of the problems that I encounter when I'm talking about, when I'm presenting safeguarding to people, then I used to hear that people are saying, well, I have a freedom to say what is on my mind. So a law is allowing me to practice free speech. So for those purposes, sometimes it's really hard to explain that it's not that black and white. There are gray zones. So I extracted the definition that I will read now. So abusers often hide behind the idea that all they are doing is expressing an opinion or a belief, but no one has the right to behave in a way that is abusive towards others. The Human Rights Act from 1988 protects our rights, including the freedom of expression, of course. This freedom carries with it a duty to respect other people's rights. Everyone has the right to be protected from discrimination and violence. Use of offensive language or expressing an offensive opinion or belief itself is not unlawful only when it causes alarm and distress, such a threat of violence. The freedom of expression does not cover speech and expression that incites violence, hatred, and discrimination. So if we have this kind of behavior on online teaching platform, those people will be immediately removed from online teaching platform. And I think you could see that in safeguarding documents that we developed relating to online teaching platform, but we will come to that. If you receive or see any kind of behavior that is not in line with the safeguarding principles, there are ways to report it. And my advice for you would be not to take matter in your hands, not to allow yourself to go into discussion with the person or investigate what happened. Just report the concern. Of course, there are four communication channels for you to report any safeguarding concern on online teaching platform. Report via online teaching platform by using forum discussion report help button. So it is connected with the safeguarding team. If you click report help button and leave your concern there, then it will reach to me as a designated safeguarding focal point for online teaching platform. You can, if that is not available for you, or you want to report it when you are out of online teaching platform, you can report it via email, online teaching community@britishcouncil.org. And it will again reach me, except if you are not reporting me as an abuser. That might happen. So when you send these emails, they are first going to Global Safeguarding Team Unit. If a report is not against me, then they will be forwarding that report to me, and then I will handle it. But if it's me, then they will deal with me personally. The third communication channel, you can report it directly to Global Safeguarding Team. If you are not confident that your report will be answered on, if you report it through help button or you are reporting through online teaching community, you can report it directly to Global Safeguarding Team, to me. And again, if I'm abuser, then you can report it to safeguarding@britishcouncil.org, and then Global Safeguarding Unit will take your reporting cost into consideration. And of course, if you don't believe in any of these, you can use SafeCall. If for any reasons you don't have access to presented reporting channels, or you wish to report concern anonymously, that is also an option. You have option to use SafeCall. It is an external company in UK that British Council is hiring on yearly basis, and there is an available number for Ukraine that you can use. It's free of charge, and you can find that number in the safeguarding documents shared via online teaching platform. I checked with SafeCall 3 days ago to check is that number is still operative in Ukraine, and they said yes. So few more words about these reporting procedures. So help button, a feature within online teaching platform through which participant can raise concerns or ask for support around technical or other issues. So you can use help button for everything. It is managed by Global Online Support Hub. So as I said, I'm not receiving that directly, but it's going through certain process, and should be used for all technical and other issues. So you can use it for everything, including safeguarding. Report option, forum discussion have a report option. This can be used to report any inappropriate posts or posts not relevant to the topic of the forum of discussion. Any post flagged through this function is immediately unpublished and reviewed by moderator. The moderator can either further flag up with online teaching community administrator in case of a severe breach of code of conduct, if that post is breaching the code of conduct. The moderator can also publish the post again if there were no grounds for making a complaint. If everything is okay with the post, we can put it back. So again, from the code of conduct, the use of inappropriate language, derogatory comments, or aggressive behavior will not be tolerated, and users who engage in such a behavior will not, will have their access terminated and will no longer be able to register on the platform. This refers to any discriminatory or hostile messages based on the person's race, ethnicity, culture, national origin, social or economical class, educational level, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity and expressions, age, size, family status, political belief, religion, or mental or physical ability. This show you how seriously we are taking this, because we make sure to mention everything. Be mindful that members of online teaching community are mostly not native speakers of English, so be respectful of different linguistic backgrounds and abilities. It is expected that all members will treat each other with respect and in a supportive way, and will avoid any comments that could offend anybody. Confidentiality is important. The online teacher community does not share any information about users with any other parties. In exchanges between teachers through forums and live sessions, meetings and webinars, please refrain from sharing personal information apart from your names, information about which country you are coming from. If we have, I mean, this is the presentation from before, and general information about the context you are teaching in. Do not share other members' posts without their permission. When it comes to forum, facilitators should not start discussion which are not ELT related. And I think this is also important. Even if you are going to if you want to maybe set up some kind of discussion about some current situation, make sure that everybody agrees with that and everybody are comfortable to talk about certain topic. Teachers should focus their comments only on existing discussions, should not be post any comments which are not ELT related. Again, it is, I think we do encourage a wide range of discussions about education, professional development, use of internal communicational technologies in education, and do not want to curb discussion if there are no strictly related to ELT, but they must be connected to the topic of education. Again, if we decide to use topic that is not related for the things that we are working on, then it's a gray area where everything can happen. And we all need to question ourselves, are we prepared for everything? I don't think any of us is prepared for everything. So it is better to stick to the topic of online teaching platform. Look out for teachers using inappropriate or abusive languages. We need to make sure that political views being expressed or somebody aggressively imposing their views also is not welcomed. Look out for any rude or derogatory comments about other participants, other nations, religions, and so on. Very important to remember, code of conduct and safeguarding outline documents clearly define what is and what is not acceptable. The outline documents clearly provide guidance on what to do when you encounter an issue, and a facilitator is expected to be able to follow the procedures. If you are not sure about what to do, please contact your country moderator for further assistance. Available documents on online teaching platform is code of conduct in the bottom of online teaching platform page, safeguarding outline for facilitators, for teachers, incident management flow chart, and for facilitators, and incident management flow chart for teachers. So we really try to think about everything and to make sure that you have clear informations. Again, if you witness any inappropriate behavior, if you hear any inappropriate behavior in any way, please don't take the justice in your hand. What we are expecting from all of you is just to report concern. And then we will make sure that justice is served. And that's it from me. Thank you very much. And I hope we have options for questions live. If not, then we will use the chat box.
We have only the chat and question
Okay.
and answer. For the moment, it's very nice to see that many teachers, all of them, are so happy to be back online, which is brilliant.
Yes.
And they found information very useful. Somebody noticed that if everybody, not only people who are on the OTC platform, respected these rules generally, there would be peace in the world, because it would mean that everybody behaved.
Yes, I mean, that is the crazy about safeguarding, because you're not telling anyone that it's not like usually normal behavior, but
exactly. So teachers, if you have any questions for Amir, please let us know. While we are waiting, I wanted to ask you, Amir, because I asked the teachers in the chat how they are teaching these days, and most of them are teaching still online. And I wanted to ask you, from a safeguarding perspective, how can we help the learners feel comfortable if they live in such a difficult situation? How can we make sure that we help them understand that the online classroom is a safe environment and they can, you know, enjoy the class in a way?
You know, it is really tricky. I'm exhaling and inhaling because I'm doing the trainings for the past few days for our British Council teachers who are working in teaching center in Ukraine. They're also restarting activities, and we are having a lot of discussions about how to make sure that classroom is safe place.
Exactly.
And I understand the situation in that teachers are now, because I also survived the war in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and
I thought about you were speaking. You know what it's like to live in a conflict area, what
exactly
it is to be able to heal, and as a teacher, as a person involved in education, to transmit that kind of attitude towards the learners.
I mean, my suggestion is, of course, that neither of you have to accept, but I really promote in these kind of situation rules. So I would really say, if I'm a teacher in Ukraine, I'm a psychologist by profession, so to some extent a teacher, but I was also the teacher in Srebrenica some few years ago. So I would make sure to clearly communicate with children I'm working with what kind of atmosphere I would like to have in the classroom.
Right.
I would send them a message clearly from the beginning that classroom will not be a place where we are going to talk about terrible situation in which we all are, and that will be place where we will rest from all bad things and medias and news that we are hearing every day, and we will just use classroom for positive thoughts. At least to try.
Right.
Why I don't like, why am I not advising to talk about the situation? Because we need to make sure, first of all, that all our students are comfortable to talk about it.
Yeah.
And even if one or two are, doesn't mean that all of your class is.
Absolutely.
The second thing is, do we really have capacities to handle what students are going to tell us if we start to talk about war? And what are we going to do if students tell us, okay, my father died? Are we trained to deal with that type of emotion and situation? If we are not, then we can make situation even bad than it already is. So it is always for teacher to kind of understand what he can do, and then in accordance to that, to set up the classroom rules. Yesterday we had a conversation with the teachers, and then teacher told me, yeah, what if children are asking me, are they going to be a nuclear war? And then we had divided opinions. Some teachers said, I would say, yeah, I think it's a big chance. Some other teachers said, no, not a chance. Or some teachers said, well, we don't know. I mean, my first question is, are the teachers those who should provide information?
Yeah.
Are these, is going to be nuclear war?
Right.
I mean, that's the one thing. And the second thing is, I always like to, like, I call it, maybe people will not understand it fully, but I like to call it distraction. If we have those kind of questions, I would always say, okay, when the war is over,
right,
tell me what are the things that you would like to visit first, for example,
right,
or something. I mean, I'm not suggesting that you are using this concrete example, but I'm just, if you are constantly throughout the class reinforcing positive things and positive emotions, then rarely we will have situation that somebody asks about the nuclear war.
yeah,
But if we provide children with the opportunity to ask those questions, then of course prepare yourself to be asked those questions and prepare your answers on it.
That's right.
So yeah, so these are really my friendly, it is not anymore that I'm a safeguarding person. These are friendly suggestions that
Right.
I always, I mean, yesterday there was always also question from some teachers that they said, okay, there is a chat, and then one child put, like, you know, heart-shaped flags, Russian and Ukrainian flags shaking hands. And it was a big discussions, what should we do? And I said, I mean, I can tell you, I can start thinking about why somebody posted that.
Right.
And maybe that child have Ukrainian mother and Russian father.
Sure.
Because I know in my country there we have a lot of mixed marriages, and it's always tricky to say against somebody, because you don't know from what kind of family that person is coming from. I mean, maybe his father is a Russian fighting on the Ukrainian side. I mean, I'm just sorry, but I'm just thinking we should ask ourselves, if somebody is posting those kind of things, from where it's coming from, and then based on that knowledge, let's then agree how we are going to react. Let's not immediately run to judge somebody before we know. I mean, at least you are all teachers. I mean, we are doing this because we want to reinforce the best at children. So, and then we need to be the same. So it is a, yes, I agree, we should never ignore the war. Absolutely. We should never ignore. Yeah, absolutely. We should never ignore reality. I'm just saying, you can decide, is your classroom is going to be a place where we are going to talk about war, or is it going to be a place where are we going to talk about some other things? As I said, reinforcement, positive emotion. And if you decide to talk about war, then just be prepared for information you might hear, because you mentioned we are doing online classes. So if we don't have physical connection with that child and child start to cry, ask yourself, what can you do in online environment to that child? And you are, for example, talking about sensitive issues. So again, I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying, if you are going to do it and allow those kind of sensitive topics in your classroom, just prepare yourself. Be prepared with your reactions. That's only.
That's right. A teacher was pointing out that it might be useful for the teachers as well to take their minds off the very brutal reality and focus on the students. Just enjoying that little space online with the students might be very useful for the teachers, because we can only imagine what pressure these teachers live under. I was in touch with many of them in the previous weeks, and one of them was telling me at the beginning of each online lesson, I pray that I finish my lesson in the living room and not in the basement, because if the alarm goes off, they have to run. So, just creating that little space in which we, the teachers and the learners, feel safe. Just take a break from reality for a few minutes might be useful, but it doesn't mean that we ignore reality, as you said, because it's there, we live in it, right?
And we shouldn't ignore it.
We
I mean, it is a reality. If we can address it, if we can address it in a constructive and in a constructive way, that will make children going out of our class even stronger, then I absolutely support that. But we need to keep in mind that not really all teachers are prepared to do that. Some of them maybe are, some of them are not. So it is really important to respect that, and prepare ourselves.
And sorry, wonderful at doing that. You know, generally they have, even before this whole war, they have a very positive attitude, and they are very determined to invest in education. This is why I appreciate a lot about them. They are going through a reform, and they are not going to stop because of the war. They want this reform to happen in education. They want to be able to be the best teachers they can be, and to teach the learners the best. So I think this is the best thing to focus on.
I think the toughest thing, I'm talking from my experience from the war, the toughest thing is survive the war as a human, to stay a human being under all sufferings. That after the war you will still be a human being. So that is, I absolutely understand the challenges and of the teachers and everybody in Ukraine, and really you can count on my support. And I wanted to say, I did training for British Council staff. It is a nice piece of training. It is how to manage unpleasant emotions. So, and maybe that's something that can be useful for this group also. We can organize it sometimes.
Sure, I will talk to Maya, and definitely. I just wrote to Maya that I would also like to deliver some webinars on introduction to trauma, because it's important to understand the effect this might have on children, how we can work with them now and in the future, how we can support them and be there for them without taking a huge burden on our shoulders, and without being affected too much, so that we become useless, you know. So yeah, there are many things. Thank you very much for mentioning. I will include that in a mail to Maya, and hopefully we will be able. And teachers, please let your facilitators know what topics would be interesting for you or useful, what you need right now, and we are more than happy to come with webinars, materials, online and offline, because I know some of you do not always have access to the internet. So just let us know what you need, and we are here for you. Probably that's the bottom line, that we are here for you to make sure that you continue developing professionally in a safe environment, and we do understand what you are going through, and we are here for you.
Yeah, just to answer Tatiana, I'm from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I'm really proud to be able to support you. So I will be really always happy to make time to be there for you. I mean, at least that's what I can.
That's right. Any questions for Amir before we let him go? Anything else you would like to hear? Just lots of thanks, Amir, and really, it's really appreciated, especially.
Thank you.
You know, of course, all the policy and everything is great, but the fact that the teachers could see your experience and could feel that you spoke with your heart was very important, and I think that matters a lot. So thank you very much then. We are looking forward to seeing you online. Please remember, teachers, that we still have our special interest groups going on and other activities, so keep an eye on the calendar and on the announcements. Make sure that you join us for other activities. We had some Ukrainian teachers joining us for the SIGs, and it was lovely to see, because this is the part where people from different countries join, and it was so nice for them to talk to other people.
Is this true? 607 participants.
Yes, yes.
Wow, I didn't. Oh, wonderful. Yes, but this is great.
These teachers are amazing. They never give up.
This is amazing.
It is amazing. They are amazing. Yes, well done for being here, and thank you for all the, the great attitude, the great spirit you show, and we hope that we will continue on OTC we always tell you, OTC is your online home. So we hope you feel at home, and we are here for you. Thank you so much, Amir. And I'll see you all on the platform. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Stay safe.